is going to be recorded. I'm Bob Trask. This is our weekly reset. This is where we start each week with a brand new level of enthusiasm, of confidence, excitement about the week. You know, each week that goes by is an opportunity. And of course, you know that. It's an opportunity for us to grow. It's an opportunity for us to be all that we can be. So every week, and we come together on this time, we kick ourselves into gear and we start working toward being all that we can be in confidence and optimism and ability to create the realities that we want. So this week's message is on friendship. Let's start off with a meditation. If you'll just close your eyes, please, and go quietly into that deep place within you. And in that deep place within you, feel the presence of grace. And with each breath in, breathe pure grace. Grace, that marvelous, intelligent energy that holds our entire universe together. That marvelous, intelligent energy that is my body and yours. And as we breathe in the grace, it's clean and fresh. It has no opinions. It has no memories. It has no beliefs. It has no senses of not being all that it can be. It's pure intelligence and pure wisdom and empowerment. And as it grows into you and as it grows into me, we become refreshed. We become renewed. And the delight of that grace floods as we breathe in through our nose and into each cell of our bodies, blessing and relaxing and healing, making us new again, making us healthy. Pure grace, the love of the universe, the healing hand of the universe, reaching into you and bringing you home. Bringing you home. With each breath in, we sink deeper into that sea of grace that is all around us. And as a fish breathes water and knows not what water is, we spend our lives breathing grace and not paying attention to the fact that it's the healing energy, the healing blessing of the great creation, of the great creator, loving us. If you have mind chatter that interferes with your meditation, simply pay attention to your breathing You might even be saying, I am breathing in now. I am holding my breath. I am breathing out now. Whatever it takes for you to just pay attention. I am breathing in grace. I am filled with grace. I'm exhaling my grace into the universe. Breathing in and breathing out grace. And because you are unique and precious, and because you are the only one of you that ever was or ever will exist, the grace that comes through you becomes different. It becomes your grace. It configures to the uniqueness of your incarnation, and magic happens within you. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to come back to us. When you do, will you please bring this self with you? This blessed self, this perfect child of the universe, so precious, so loved, so blessed, and protected, and set free. Bring back this child when you come, and come whenever you feel that is appropriate. So, yes, today we're talking about friendships. Kind of in a sense, sounds like a light subject, doesn't it? Friendships. But in fact, it may be as one of the most important subjects of our lives. Because think for a moment with me that there is this incredible spiritual intelligence in the universe, in all universes. And that intelligent energy, that energetic intelligence flowing through time and space is real. And it shows up in incarnations. It shows up in trees and valleys and mountains with snowy tops and with eagles flying overhead and with rivers flowing to the sea. It shows up in all these beautiful, magical, amazing ways. The dimensions between things, between trees and trees and trees and clouds, between you and me, between you and the screen that you're looking at right now. That space is filled with grace and is holy. It is so sacred. And you and I are a part of that. But we are unique and individual, as I said a few minutes ago. Each one of us is separate. We were born alone, we'll die alone, we're separate. But we cannot fulfill the mission that we came here to fulfill. The mission of doing our being and having our being, the cycle of being, doing, having, and growing in the wealth of grace and in the wealth of deep spiritual wisdom. That can't happen alone. We have to have each other. We have to have each other. So I'm walking alone through the forest. I was created alone. I came here alone. I'm walking alone through the forest. And I don't have enough to eat, and I'm trying to find enough to eat. We are trying to find enough friends to feed our souls, to feed our bodies, but we reject so many of them. And as I'm walking along through the forest, I see an airplane going over, and it drops a parachute, and the parachute's coming slowly down, down, down. And when it lands, I run over there, and there's a big pizza box. They dropped a pizza, and I open the box, and I'm looking, and I'm going, artichokes? I don't do artichokes on a pizza. And no pineapple, no olives. What kind of stupid pizza is this? And I close the box and go on. Now that may seem strange, but that's what we do with friendships. People come into our lives and we look at them and we say, well, she's too fat, she's too skinny, she's too tall, she's too short. He's black, he's white, he's green, he's pink, he's purple. He's sexually not like me. He's a homosexual, heterosexual, transsexual, bisexual, asexual, whatever. He's a Republican, a Democrat. He voted for this person or that person. He's got this religion or that religion. Therefore, I can't be that person's friend. Therefore, unless that pizza's got pineapple, no olives, wait, has olives, pineapple, olives, no artichokes, thank you, and I'm not eating it. That's what we do. And we need friends because that's the soul of us. But that's the soul of us. That wonderful song, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this a better world if you can. We need to reach out and touch. Lean on me. We need to be able to be one with other people. Friendships change our lives. And you know that. They awaken in us something that never otherwise would have awakened. With friends, new memories are created, new selves are created. And they bless us and they make us valuable and they increase our self-confidence and our self-esteem. And if I'm in a relationship that's not helping me expand, if I'm in a relationship that's judging me and taking away from who I am and saying I'm not worthy of that relationship unless I change this, change that, change something else, that's not a friendship. That's not a friendship. Friendships are gardens where we can grow. Richard Bach said, Richard Bach, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, he said, your friends will know you better in the first minute you meet than your acquaintances will know you in 1,000 years. So out in the community, out in the world, there are communities. That's your community. There are people that are your people. But you can't find them unless you let down the drawbridge over the moat and let the castle of your heart be opened and let people come in. And then you can see this person can't be a close friend. He or she is just a little hostile, a little judgmental, a little too opinionated. It's hard for me to get exactly one with them, but I can still love them just a little bit more at a distance. But in that group of people that you're so-called auditioning, there are treasures of gems and gold, of friendship, of love, of joy, of such magnificence that you can't live without that. You can't live without that. Now, can your body live? Yeah, I suppose so. Can your heart keep beating? Yeah, I suppose so. Is that what we're here for? So our hearts will keep beating? We're here to grow in wisdom and joy. And that happens when we connect. Think about your happiest and most joyful memories of all of your life. Think back when you were a child, whenever it was that you had the greatest memories of ever. Do you remember? Remember that there were people there, your friends. those friends made that memorable. They made that memory valuable. And that's what true great memories do, becomes they bring our friends back into our minds. And those friends came and they come bearing gifts of love. Their company enriches us with experiences to cherish for the rest of our lives. And when we have those friendships that are one with our hearts, the sharp roads, there's the sharp rocks on the roads of life become smoother, don't they? And the frightening times become less frightening and more joyful. But we can't, once again, admit just everyone to be a friend, because some people don't know how to be a friend. They're here for themselves. And among them, there are people who blossom like roses when they feel loved, when they're watered with love, when they're nurtured with safety, with knowing that they're safe with you. So I think sometimes of people that I've known in my past that could have been friends, but never really became close friends. And I think that some of them, it was like if I went to their house. I knew a guy once, I went to his house and he lived in a dugout. In other words, he lived underground and he had chickens in his house. And we sat down to have a cup of coffee and a goat climbed up on the table and he just introduced the goat. Now I look back at that now being less judgmental than I was, and I think, wow, what an incredibly beautiful experience. But at that time I said, I don't think I can do this. Goats and chickens, I don't think I can do this. So I sort of excluded him from my life as a friend. And I've looked back on that day many, many, many times over the years with regret. I wish I had. The guy came hunting for me later. He wanted to talk to me. Somebody said, yeah, this guy's hunting for you. And I didn't follow up because I'd made a decision about him. It's true that some people, though, have goats and chickens in their hearts, and their hearts are not open and their hearts are not clear and clean for a relationship. And you have to step aside from that, because otherwise, what we need friends so much, we need friends that such a deep craving, such a deep hunger inside of us, that we come into those friendships and we allow people sometimes to abuse us. We allow people to make us feel small, to make us feel like we don't count, to make us feel like there's something wrong with us, like we should have done something different in our life. We should have been different. Maybe we did make a mistake or two. Maybe we did step in their pudding at one point or another. Can they forgive us? Can they? Well, they haven't. They haven't, have they? That just sort of lingers just underneath the surface of that friendship. And so, no, those are not people that we can have as close friends. But today's weekly reset is about making sure that we have those friends in our lives that can build us and that we can build into stronger, better, more creative, more courageous, more loving people. And we need to have those people in order to do that. A dear friend of mine and Mary's, Dick Proenneke, as you've seen him on television, One Man's Wilderness. A dear friend of ours lived alone in Alaska, went alone into the wilds of Alaska, and by himself, with hand tools, built an incredibly beautiful log cabin and lived in that until right up to the time, very, very shortly before his death. And we went and spent some time with him in that wilderness, in his cabin, and met him and got to know him. And I can tell you that Dick Proenneke had the most treasured friends in the world. I think John Denver was one of his friends. He lived alone in the wilderness, and yet he had a friend, Babe Allsworth, who had a little plane who would fly in and land on the lake in the wintertime with pontoons, would land on with skis in the summertime, or in the wintertime on skis, in the summertime on pontoons, and brought him food and brought him mail. A lot of times it was our mail. So he had friends, and his friends made his time in the wilderness way more beautiful because he was able to video it, and you can see his videos now on television, and he was able to write it, and he wrote it as a diary, and his books are bestsellers. So he had friends even though he lived alone in the wilderness. And you and I can have friends that do the same for us. But let's be discerning about who they are, and then let's recruit them, and let's find those friends, find those who we can trust and who can trust us. And we can talk and listen and discover and open up our wisdom and our caring and realize who we are and be delighted with who we are. There are 8 billion of us on this planet right now, 8 billion of us. That's a number that's not even comprehensible. Out of that, surely we can find a half a dozen or a dozen that would be soulmates to us. But can we get out of the way and trust them? Can we let down that drawbridge? Can we stop being so protective? Because, well, they might hurt us. They might step in my pudding. Yeah, they might. In fact, they probably will. And if they do, so what? They're human beings being human. They're going to make mistakes. That's not the friendship. The friendship is not gauged on whether or not they make a mistake. The friendship is not gauged on whether or not they ever hurt your feelings. That's why acceptance is so vital as a guideline along the path of enlightenment. Acceptance, which has 2 legs, One leg is forgiveness. The second leg is gratitude. If with my friends, if I have forgiveness and gratitude, and if I hear them, not just listen to them, but hear them, hear who they are, hear the music in their souls, then sometimes I hear their music playing in my soul in harmony. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Unless we think there's something more important than love, unless we just don't feel deserving of living in love, then we have to make it our goal this week to start bringing in deeper, more beautiful friends. And those people who are already our friends, look at the depth of that friendship. Are you do you have it kind of on a shelf? Do you have it sort of in a certain safe place and you don't let it get any deeper? Take a risk. Take a risk. Let it go deep. Dare to love, dare to say, I love you. Dare to be love in that relationship. Dare to do it. If you don't, will you go to the rest of your life? Will you come to the end of your life? And at the end of your life, you'll look back and you'll say, gee, Marjorie was a good friend, but I didn't let her really get deep because I didn't kind of trust her. Was it that I didn't trust Marjorie, or was it that I didn't really trust me to be safe, to be able to recover? Because I was so vulnerable. I was so weak that I couldn't afford to be hurt. Come on, let's open up. Unless we're too busy with our butterfly brains that are just skipping around from here to here and staying too busy. So Helen Keller, who was blind, who never saw light at all, said, I'd rather walk with a friend in the dark than to walk alone in the light. How many of us are walking alone in the light? So what's our first step? I need to start paying attention, deep attention to the people I meet. Not only start listening, but start hearing. If this person might be destined to be my deep friend, I need to be able to hear that coherent music playing in them and inside of me. Can we let down that drawbridge? And can we let them come in? Can we do that? 2,400 years ago, Aristotle said true friendship is a single dwelling, a single soul dwelling in two bodies. There's two separate individual trees. Here's an alder and here's a fir, and they're leaning into each other. By it just happened that they're leaning into each other, and so they grow twisted around each other. They're each singular. Each is still a fir, each is still an alder, and yet leaning into each other, depending on each other for additional strength, spending their lives together, reaching for and sharing the light together. They are friends. Now, let me quickly ask you, are your family your friends? Yeah, maybe so. Probably so. They should be, at least. But maybe they are, and maybe they're not. Just because they grew up eating out of the same refrigerator that you did, that doesn't make them your friends. Like all friends, we have to cultivate those with attention, listening and sharing and caring. One loyal friend is worth 10,000 relatives, said playwright Euripides almost 2,500 years ago. So this is our weekly reset. This week, let's open ourselves up. Let's stop being so exclusive. Let's be willing to make friends. Let's be willing to find a level of joy that we have not found before. Let's laugh until we are crying. Let's dance together. Let's be friends. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the only way to get a friend is to be one. So this week, let's pay attention to who our friends are and who our new friends can be. Walter Winchell said, a great friend, a real friend, is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. So let me end this week's reset with a message from Winnie the Pooh. If ever there is tomorrow when we're not together, there's something you must always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But the most important thing is, if ever we're apart, I'll always be with you. Something you must always remember, and that's that you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. And the most important thing is that if we're ever apart, I'll always be with you. I thank you for joining me today. It's always a pleasure and an honor spending my weekly reset time with you. And if you would please tell your friends about weekly reset so we can grow and become more and more of us sharing this marvelous time together. And if you enjoyed today's message, will you please make a donation to help us keep these weekly resets coming? You'll find the donate button on my website, bobtrask.com, in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you. Thank you.